Hi, everybody. It is January 6, 2021. I cannot post on my primary channel, Never Lose Truth, for 2 weeks. Yep, community guideline violation last night. Okay, how are you all doing? How are you all doing? I'm going to be posting some Just Talking videos. I have done research in other areas, and I would like to get those videos posted. I don't know how much I can do, at this point. I'm going through quite a lot personally, and yeah, yes, there will be a Just Talking on, well, I've said this before. Frankly, I'm just scared to post, videos on my life. And when I do post that video, you'll understand why, because I'll explain. But we have a major problem. We're going down fast. We are going down very, very fast. The violence, not just in the cities, but wow, in the cities, it is exploding. Huge crowds are gathering. Well, some call them TikTok gatherings, where they will post on social media, and suddenly there is this huge party of young, and I'm saying this not because I'm old, not because I'm a boomer. These kids are friggin' out of control. One of the videos that I do want to post, I have been bookmarking an awful lot of the random violence that is occurring. But let me start with this. And I'm going to go through, just a lot of different information just to show you things are not good. A whole lot of people are getting destroyed. So if you're okay, you're lucky. You're lucky. And if you are okay, please help someone who's not, because they're in your community. That's for sure. All right. Prosecutors. Now, an awful lot of our state prosecutors have won their election due to George Soros. And these prosecutors, yes, certainly in the left, the blue states, are literally just dropping charges for crimes. Or they're just not even recognizing as crimes anymore, theft of anything that is below $1,000, and I've posted videos on this. But the looting and all of those BLM peaceful protesters that actually caused billions of dollars worth of destruction to buildings, to stores, those charges are just being dropped. So why do you think crime is kind of out of control? Certainly looting. Oh, a whole lot of looting took place in San Francisco. Daylight, Neiman Marcus, and another store. I don't even know if I have that, or if I've bookmarked that and that page is not open. Well, listen to this, and when you do, you'll realize, why not loot?
Investigation. It was bedlam. A year ago this month, parts of the city were rocked by rioting and looting. Stores from the Bronx to Midtown to Soho gutted by roving mobs, taking advantage of the George Floyd protest and the pandemic. Now, the NYPD did make hundreds of arrests, but more than a year later, a great majority of the criminal cases against suspected looters have simply been dropped. Chief investigative reporter Jonathan Deans looked into what's not been done about those who destroyed parts of the city that night. John?
Yeah, Adam, last year the NYPD and mayor were blasted for the handling or mishandling of the mobs that ransacked parts of the city. Now, more than a year later, there are serious questions for some district attorneys about how they handled or failed to handle those charged with the rioting and looting here last summer.
Yo, free food! Free food!
A year ago, parts of the city were out of control. Crowds were seen smashing storefront after storefront. The mayhem continued night after night. At At one point, there was even a so-called looting dance party on the streets of Soho. The mob seemingly pillaging at will. Many were caught on tape, some with faces visible.
I took all the papers and photos off the sheet.
Even posted live their own videos of their actions those nights.
Got the Rolex store.
Police far outnumbered and seemingly unprepared. But many arrests were made in Manhattan and along some commercial streets in the Bronx. Videos show how numerous locally owned Bronx stores were ransacked. NYPD data we reviewed shows 118 arrests were made in the Bronx during the worst of the looting. Since then, the NYPD says the DA and courts have dismissed 73 of those cases. 18 remain open, and there are 19 convictions for mostly lesser counts like trespassing, counts which carry no jail time.
Those numbers are, to be honest with you, excuse the word, it's disgusting.
Jessica Bettencourt owns an eyeglass store which was ransacked. She is vice president of a local merchants association.
They brushed everything off to the side. What happened?
In Manhattan, NYPD data we reviewed shows there were 485 arrests. 222 cases later dropped. There are 73 convictions, many for lesser counts like trespassing. Another 40 cases sent to family court, and 128 remain open.
That's not justice. That's selective enforcement.
Law enforcement expert and former NYPD Chief of Patrol Wilbur Chapman, critical of the DA's dropping so many looting and burglary cases.
If they are so overworked that they can't handle the mission that they're hired for, then maybe they should find another line of work.
Sources in the DA's offices tell us in some cases evidence was simply not strong enough for proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And with the courts closed amid the pandemic, there was a huge backlog of cases that was unwieldy for both the courts and prosecutors. The NYPD did set up a task force after the riots to examine videos to separate out suspected rioters from peaceful protesters, similar to what the FBI is doing in making arrests after the Capitol Hill riot.
Let me just say bullshit on that, because an awful lot are sitting in jail who literally did nothing at all. Oh, they might have just walked into the Capitol, but they didn't do any of this. And frankly, there's an awful lot of evidence that it was an Antifa and BLM disguised as Trump supporters creating all of this destruction. But, yeah, so Trump supporters are sitting in jail for doing nothing, not causing any kind of damage or destruction. And you have all of these peaceful protesters who created so much destruction. So many people died last year, looting, stealing, billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of destruction, damage, and they're let loose. Something wrong with this picture? I do have it open. Looters ransack San Francisco Neiman Marcus in broad daylight. Yay. Video. Look at that guy. Well,
They can do anything. Look. Shit. Why? Are they gonna get to the getaway car? Shit, you must have run over the nose.
so, I learned, just listening to a video, that there were people who were showing up with U-Hauls during those peaceful protests. U-Hauls. Looting stores and just throwing everything into the U-Haul trucks. Okay. Oakland streets erupt into 12 hours of non-stop chaos, homicides, shootings, And the sideshow was, those crowds that gather to spin their cars. Yeah. All right. Target and Walgreens close early due to thefts in California stores. Well, they're not. They're literally not prosecuting shoplifters in San Francisco, which kind of gives that shoplifter the idea, oh, I can go and shoplift and I won't be arrested. Does that sound like a good policy? Of course it's not. Then add on defund the police, and you have crime that is, well, increasing in every major city around the country. Yay! Aren't we special? Aren't we exceptional as Americans? It's unbelievable what is taking place. So Target in San Francisco will now be closing at 6 p.m. In the financial district, it will close at 5 p.m. It's amazing that this is taking place.
Wow.
When you don't prosecute and you don't arrest, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Americans are healthy and well and they've got a moral core inside them? All right. Now, there was a tweet. The wildest thing about San Francisco is not even the crime. It's the way our government will straight up publicly ridicule you if you complain about the crime. And this woman works in the district attorney's office, Kate Chatfield. And she apparently went dark. She did. Now that I'm blocked and the account has gone dark, a little screenshot for posterity. The district attorney's office accusing folks concerned about their children's safety of, I guess, well, they're a part of the KKK. Kate Chatfield. Husbands are scared for their wives. Your reminder that the crime surge crowd shares the same ideology as the birth of a nation. Wow. She's in the district attorney's office? That's wow. So, what this tweet here from Kate Chatfield is saying, you have no right to complain about the crime. Because hundreds of years ago, those white settlers committed crimes against the indigenous, black Americans and the slavery. What message is this sending to those who have no moral core and will go out and commit crime? I have a right to do this because, well, it was done before. This is Huntington Beach. It's a TikTok party that gets out of control. All right, these parties are developing in all over the country. All over the country. A whole lot of people are very upset about this because, well, even if violence doesn't break out, the noise in New York City and Washington Square, residents were complaining forever because they couldn't sleep because of the hundreds of people gathering in Washington Square, after midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. At least 150 people shot and killed over 4th of July weekend. Don't you know where? Chicago. Chicago. Okay. Mayor of Chicago just recently said crime is on the decline. She lied. She lied. Outright lied. Crime is only increasing in Chicago. The shootings increasing. 150 people killed over 4th of July weekend. Now, this, I think, is, Seattle. Another huge gathering. Now, this has been going on for months and months. Yeah. Now, when you have crowds that large, anything can happen. And anything has been happening. A lot of these are, they end up with, so many fighting, physically fighting. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere near this. Nowhere near this. I wouldn't want to live near this. I wouldn't want, it's just, it's like a seeds, that just one little sprinkle can end up blossoming into something that you don't want to happen. So I don't even know what the hell is going on, why they're running. So this is, again, Huntington Beach has had, a number of these things. Miami. I wouldn't even want my car near this. But the random violence, I mean, my God, I have bookmarked so many videos, and it's not just in New York, but this one happens to be in New York.
Now, police are looking for this man who they say punched a 72-year-old in the back of the head over a parking spot. This video is from near Jerome Avenue and Featherbed Lane on April 24th. Investigators say the two men were arguing in the street over a parking spot. One man turns away, and that's when he's punched in the head.
People walking just on the sidewalk, and suddenly a random, punch to the face, to the head. Delivery people who are just making deliveries and they're on bicycles in Manhattan. And I it's like, okay, it's not the Manhattan I lived in, and it's only getting worse. People are angry. People are violent. And all of this is only going to get more out of control, where people will be scared to even just walk on the street if they're not already.
Your take on this? We keep seeing MSNBC anchors and guests on MSNBC saying things like defunding the police really does empower law enforcement. Your reaction to that?
It's outrageous, Liz. The only ones that are empowered are the criminals because they are preying on innocent citizens. And look, the Democrats own this defund police nonsense. You look at the fact how a lot of them even ran on that platform to defund the police. And the Democrats are doing and saying everything they possibly can to spin this narrative to blame Republicans. But they are clearly on the wrong side of public opinion because Rasmussen Reports poll found that 66% of Americans oppose defunding the police and 57% of Black Americans oppose defunding the police. Excuse me. So they're on the wrong side of public opinion. Democrats own this, and they can say and do whatever they want, but they are the ones who are calling for this, not real freedom-loving Americans who believe in safety and security.
And the Democrats, Psaki, press secretary for Biden, she's doubling down on, well, it's the Republicans who have been calling for defund the police. Wow. The lying is also out of control. And, any Democrat, you should be ashamed of yourself for, supporting that party. And I'm not saying go to the other party. This whole government is corrupt of ours. And we need to start looking to ourselves in our communities. If anybody has any friends, if anybody has family, you guys, you need to, sit down, have a conversation about how you're going to survive what is upcoming. And it's unfortunately coming very fast. Now, I will link below, not to the party videos because those are easily accessed on YouTube. Just put in TikTok, huge gatherings. But I came across this Rob Braxman tech, and I've been listening to a couple of his videos. This was posted June 10. Skynet went live June 8.
I'm addressing this video to those of you with an Alexa Echo or a Ring camera, or to those with friends with these products. Some of you are my friends or members of my family. I hate to say this, but unfortunately, we are all going to be zucked because of you all. Because on June 8th, 2021, you made Skynet go live. Yes, I know, I'm just a caveman or a Luddite, whatever you want to call me. You all know how fun tech is. I'm just the regular tech naysayer, or the paranoid guy. It is clear to me at least that most of you have no idea what you've enabled on June 8th or understand the implications of that. Nor do any of you realize that I'm actually John Connor of the Resistance. Unfortunately, we cannot turn the clock back on this one. Just like you've all embraced Alexa Echo and put a crazy surveillance infrastructure in this country, your little machine is now a slave doing the bidding for Amazon, doing something new. And you're not even part of it anymore. You have no control, except that it is your device that will enable it. If you want to know exactly what you've enabled and why it's dangerous, maybe you want to watch the rest of this video.
And I will link below to it. Yeah, it's operating. And why he is angry at those who have the Echo and the Alexas and the Ring camera, because you pull all of us in. You go up to close enough to a house with a Ring camera, they have a video of you. You may not have Ring camera at home, but they got you. And the echo, all of the recordings are sent to Amazon headquarters, and you may not have one, but you're in a home with somebody who has one. They got your voice. Do you really think that all of this technology is used for good? Are you that deceived? Are you that naive? Are you that delusional at this point? Now, I'm going to play a few minutes. Listen, hyperinflation of US dollar. It is coming, and it's going to be a shocker.
And you look at what potentially we could be facing here is a new monetary system that looks much worse than anything we've ever seen. I don't want to speculate on exactly what will happen, exactly how it will unfold. I don't know that. But what I do know is that if you are unprepared, you are going to be smacked in the face and you will be seeing stars. That's the key. That's what you need to understand. If you research it and you simply spend an hour or two, you would find out enough information to realize that you could say to yourself, okay, this is getting hot and heavy. What do I have to do? So let's look at that right now. Let's get serious for a minute here in this Money GPS Insights. The first things first, real assets are essential. No questions asked. Number two, one that people really take for granted is that you need to have multiple streams of income. You can always have a primary source, but you need at least one more source of income. This is essential more now than ever before. And number three, self-sufficiency will help you to weather the storm. This goes on all different levels, whether that's having some of your own or all of your own food supply taken care of, your water, perhaps your electricity, and so many different things that people take for granted every single day. But if your currency becomes worthless or worth less, then if you have certain things in place today, you're going to be much better off when things get worse. And as I showed you in the United States alone, not to mention all these different countries out there that have dealt with hyperinflation or are dealing with, serious levels of inflation today, that you will be so much better off if you simply take the steps today to get that all sorted out. Okay,
Now, I will link below. He goes through the history also, and he gets to the Rothschilds and the royal family tree, and how that royal family tree goes through virtually every country. So, we have a massive wealth redistribution taking place every single day. Talk about looting. Wow. The Fed looting like it's, hey, just steal from everybody and give our friends a whole lot of money. When you hear the word economy from mainstream media, from Biden, from the Fed, from anyone, they're talking about Wall Street. They don't talk about Main Street anymore. They don't, you're not even on the radar. 99% of Americans are no longer on the radar. And so many are literally falling off the cliff every single day. Again, when you have an awful lot of people who have lost it all, they have nothing to lose, so they lose it, and you have this crime taking place right now, wow, it's going to explode. If Americans only understood the corruption surrounding money and the enormous greed in the financial sector of the American economy, they would understand how money is being stolen from them and other Americans, not just by sleight of hand, but also by out in the open greed. It is so out in the open that it's remarkable that Americans just go about their business. So what? First thing to understand is that, for the most part, the current economy only benefits the financial classes only. Now, that's it. It's those with money. And it's Wall Street. You know, Biden keeps talking about how wages have increased. Really? Americans' paychecks, they have gotten bigger in dollars. But their purchasing power hardly risen at all, and it's falling. Trillions of dollars redistributed to the wealthy. You know, we are in bad shape. And how many of you are alone? How many of you? Well, can you get any hard assets? I don't think so. A whole lot. Are you able to survive this because you actually have a support system? Are you able to survive the ever-increasing inflation to hyperinflation? I bet a whole lot of you can't. I bet a whole lot of you are anxious, okay, how the hell am I? I'm there. I don't know. You know, I'm kind of, my Social Security stays the same. So does yours. Supermarkets are stockpiling inventory as food costs rise. That's right. Setting aside larger amounts of frozen meat, sugar, and other items to protect profits ahead of anticipated price increases, ever increasing. If people think that this inflation is only temporary and it's everything is just going to be fine in a couple of months, you are so dead wrong. Water, the end of California's groundwater, free for all. Well, water is, those of you who are paying for water, look out. But what does this mean, California? Nuts, fruits, that's where we get them from. Water spigots on California farms will soon be twisted even tighter. So, when you see headlines like this, think, okay, farmers don't have water. That means farmers who don't have water, well, their income goes down. They're not producing the yields that they used to, which means food shortages, which also means increases in price. Only going to get worse. We're Spain revealing the totalitarian future for all. Spain passed a law. In the event of an emergency, we can confiscate all of your property. You can read this article. Yeah. New legislation effectively allows the total end of democracy and all freedom in Spain. Yeah, it is just the beginning, and it's going to spiral out to other countries. Hell, we have legislation that, in an emergency, they can confiscate our property. They can also make you a slave. Part of the legislation in Spain is, we can make you a soldier because, Spaniards have the duty and right to defend Spain. So create mandatory military service. And don't think that emergency is not coming. It is coming. And they can do it in an emergency for anything. Health, environmental, economic, financial in nature, invasion from Mars, an alien invasion. Governments around the world are so corrupt, and there's more of us than there are of them. So U.S. Capitol Police announces field offices across U.S. to probe threats to Congress members. Okay. This is the domestic terrorism headline. That domestic terrorism that I've posted videos on, coming out of the Biden administration, that involves private companies. Oh, it's a whole web. The infrastructure has already been built. The fusion centers. The picking up of anyone who is not in line with our U.S. government, whatever the official narrative is. It is attacking dissidents. That's where we are. 11 armed suspects. Yes, I know about what was happening in Massachusetts on, Interstate 95, the rise of the Moors. And I was listening to, the press conferences on this when they hadn't arrested them yet. The long guns that they were, had right on them when the cop shows up. And look, I think all of that, was a staged affair. But I say I think. I can't be, definitive unless I'm in the inside and I know what's happening. But it's going for that domestic terrorism. The Department of Homeland Security, all local law enforcement, which they are engaging in their domestic terrorism tactics. And but I thought it was interesting listening to the press conference, and how many times did I hear, well, they said they weren't anti-government. Oh, so they say they're not anti-government, and you just believe them. The Trump supporters, however, they're anti-government. Oh. How do you be anti-government when you support a president? You're on one of the teams of, that government sporting event. So, but what was interesting also, so many people thought that they were white armed men. No. The rise of the Moors. Don't worry. They're not anti-government. They peacefully surrendered. And how many times did I hear ideology? We don't know their ideology yet. Ideology. They're going after people with a particular ideology. If you don't believe as this guy believes, if you don't believe as Pelosi and AOC and mainstream media reporters, you're of the wrong ideology. They're coming after you. Ransomware attacks. I hope you're aware of how many are taking place. And yes, we have that Polygon, coming up actually within the next couple of days, I think, or maybe it's happening. I can't remember the date, but it's in July. It's very similar to the October Event 201, where they simulated a pandemic, and ironically, it was called coronavirus. And then voila, we have a pandemic of a coronavirus. Well, now they're doing it on a cyber attack that takes down the grid pretty much of the world. Ransomware attacks are increasing an awful lot. Now, understand this too. We don't know who the hell is doing this. Mainstream media always comes out immediately and says it's Russia. Biden said, well, we don't know if it's Russia. You're not to know anything anymore. But it could very well be our government doing it. Oh, what a thought. They would never do that, Carol. Yeah. They're as corrupt and criminal as you can get. Have you not noticed? U.S. forces, we're bombing Syria. We're bombing Iraq. Nothing ever changes. Nothing ever changes. Nothing ever changes. The only thing that changes is the look of the team members. Now it's all blue. And yay, Biden, we love Biden. Oh, no, we don't, actually, because Biden had, 10,000 people? That was it? Watching his July 4th speech? Yeah, we're bombing. We don't ever get out of countries. You really think that we just decided, okay, goodbye, Afghanistan? Really? American men suffer a friendship recession. Now that is a major problem. Friends. How many of you have friends that you can really count on, that you trust? How many? Men, women, doesn't matter. Young, old. I bet a whole lot of you don't have anyone that you can really trust. That means that you are a sitting duck for what is taking place. Because trust is essential. It is number one. It is the foundation that allows you to work with other people, organize, do something to survive what's coming. And friendship in our country, it's a joke. Sorry. It's just a flat-out joke. Because an awful lot of Americans also lie. And when you lie, you break down trust. And that's not okay anymore for all of those who are awake. Because when you can't trust, you don't have anyone at your back. So, large explosion rocks Iranian oil field. Do you know how many oil fields are just blowing up? Geez, I think oil is going to be very expensive in a little bit. So, yeah, a big 10,000 tunes in to listen to Biden. Even the Democrats don't. I'm sure an awful lot of Democrats are like, they must be, please, they must be wondering what the hell has happened to my party. All right, I'm going to link below. I can't tell you how much I bookmark every single day of major events taking place that, a lot of people say, oh, and you only go on No, I go on mainstream media because mainstream media happens to be our enemy, and they let you know what direction. Oh, they do a lot of distraction. But you got to pull yourself up, to recognize the distractions. And then you have an awful lot of events taking place. None of them are distractions. They're like, oh my God, we're going down fast. That's all I can say. I hope you're prepared. For all of you who are alone, I know exactly how you feel. I'm so sorry, but, it is what it is. "12 years of doing this, and I don't even know why I'm doing it anymore. Well, I'm doing it because I have nothing else to do. But I've been experiencing way too many liars. I've been experiencing things that, have left me feeling very, sometimes quite scared. But very much the sitting duck. You know, we are facing something so unprecedented. And it was very, very important that just ordinary people stop lying. Stop betraying one another. Stop the bullshit, the petty bullshit. Stop it. You know, but it doesn't stop. And that has, you know, rendered an awful lot of us well, how about suffering this? There's a lot of subscribers that I don't hear from anymore. And I wonder what has happened to them. But here we are, just staring at a screen. People come and go. This is not the way you relate as a human being. We need real life. We need community. You know, that's how we keep tabs on one another. This thing, this box, this screen, no. Well, I'm going to try and get the videos done that I've been wanting to post, though there's no real reason. I mean, how much do you need to know? Do you really need to know, you know, all of the names of everybody that's behind this? Do you need to know, you know, oh, here I got another document that shows, huh? No. It's kind of like, what's the difference between those who Netflix, streaming the Netflix, and us who sit here for hours? What's the difference? One is entertainment, and the other is, you know, just a different form of entertainment. I don't know. A lot changed in my life, and I have been really struggling. So I will post videos. I'll explain it. I know that there's a lot of you who've asked questions, who've emailed, and I've really not been able to, you know, do much. Let's just say basic functioning, well, took a new hit, and anyway, I do want to thank everyone for donating. You know, ever since I moved in November, I've really not been myself. I've, you know, whole new lifestyle, whole new environment, everything. Stress, everything. I can barely write. I'm not doing what I used to do. Everything changed. Everything changed. Yeah, so I'm so sorry. And I will apologize again. in another video where I'm explaining in more detail. And one of the reasons why I want to post that video is because people have been asking, should I move or should I move to Montana? I can't answer that question unless I know who you are. But I will say that moving is very hard, especially if you're moving into an entirely different lifestyle where you don't know anybody and you're alone. The older you get, the harder it is to make friends and to connect. There's an awful lot that I learned from this move that might be important, so I'm going to post it. Anyway, the links are below. I know that there's an awful lot of you who are still okay. And I really do hope that you're reaching out to those who aren't.